Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Marcel Plays RCT, where we have arrived at the beautiful beaches of Bumbly Beach. After the craziness of Evergreen Gardens in the last episode, we're going to relax a little more here and build a big beautiful pier to attract the 750 required guests. Something like this, but much bigger and much prettier. When all ad campaigns have been bought, it's immediately time to start buying construction rights so that we are allowed to build over the beach and the ocean. We don't have enough money yet to buy all the available construction rights, but this little bit is a good start. I do want to have a connection to the path in the park here, but Big Dipper is in the way and for now we still need it, so the pier will have to remain unconnected for a while. The first ride we're going to build is of course a merry-go-round. We could build it and other rides to the side of the pier, but I think it looks much better when it's surrounded by path. In my head I'm picturing a massive pier along the beach with rides in the middle and several arms stretching out into the ocean. A pier also needs some shops and facilities, so next to the merry-go-round we'll build a bit of a shopping center. We only have 5 stalls available now, which isn't a lot, so to make it seem somewhat substantial we're gonna have to build 2 of each, one on either side. Of course it needs a nice building around it, and first I was gonna make it out of bricks, but then I realized that you probably wouldn't use bricks to build stuff on a pier. So I changed it to these plain colored walls with windows in them instead. Blue on the bottom with a white trim on top, and for the roof of course my favorite roof piece in the game, the pointy roof. The park is getting quite overcrowded now due to the advertising and it's killing the park rating quite badly, so it's probably a good time to give the guests access to the pier. This will almost certainly become a pathfinding nightmare, but since ads ignore the park rating, that doesn't really matter at the moment. We are quite close to the edge of the available construction rights, but there is still room enough to build 3 Ferris wheels. To show some national pride for my home country of the Netherlands, I'm going to color them red, white and blue to symbolize the French flag. The tent entrances, or tentrances for short, fit much better on a pier than the standard brick entrance buildings and pair great with the canvas roof piece. Okay, we have a problem here. The middle pier entrance can go straight through into the sea, which is what I wanted, but the other entrance is blocked by the Ferris wheels. We're going to need to move it over 3 tiles, which is a bit of a pain, but it has to be done. Strategically deleting path pieces and placing a few no entry signs does the job, and now it's perfectly aligned as well. It's time to start building on the other side, and this time I will build the connection first, so it cannot be misaligned. While we are doing this, take a look at the park rating. It's absolutely god-awful because, just as I predicted, guests cannot find their way around this pier at all. This problem will go away once we connect these 2 parts, as while guests are stupid, they are smart enough to navigate some layouts if they're very simple. Next to the center of the pier we will build a twist to mirror the merry-go-round on the other side. It's the same size and has the same queue line, but it will have some different color, and of course the ride itself is different too. While finishing up the remaining bit of path around it, we unlock the spinning wild mouse, and I don't think there has ever existed a better coaster type to build on a pier. With its tiny turns, it will fit perfectly in the gap that is still here. It took a little bit of trial and error and I had to be careful to leave space for the entrance and exit buildings, but fairly quickly I have built a design I am happy with. It's nothing grand, but it's a pier ride. It's not supposed to be grand and I think it fits quite well. Having a massive hole in the pier is quite ugly, so we will fill it in with beige colored base blocks, which looks even better than I imagined. A little color change later, we have a really cute spinning wild mouse coaster operating on our pier. Since we now have a new roller coaster that can be used for advertising, we can finally get rid of the rides that we started with. I want there to be nothing in the park except for a bit of path that gives access to the pier. Some of you may consider it blasphemy to remove the iconic Big Dipper, but it has to be done to realize my view of the perfect utopia and nothing will stand in the way of that. The main boulevard is mostly completed now, so let's start building the 3 arms that stretch into the ocean, starting with the middle one. To give it more substance, we'll build a nice big 7x7 square at the end that we can build something inside of. And that something will be 4 fountains, because who doesn't need more water in the middle of the sea? The 2 sides of this square are perfect for 2 boat hires. The first one will have standard rowing boats with beautiful rainbow colors. To provide some variety, the one on the other side is gonna have water tricycles with some pastel colors. Blue, pink, white, pink and blue is a lovely color scheme for these Jesus strikes. Before we fill in the other 2 arms, I want to build a big coaster that goes around the entire pier. Well, not that big in the grand scheme of things, but still much bigger than the Wild Mouse. A junior coaster will do perfectly fine here. We can go over the middle arm, under the one on the right, then over the pier entrance and so on. We cannot go under any of the entrances, as construction rights don't allow you to build closer than 2 units to the ground. To give it enough speed for the rest of the layout, we're going to need a second lift hill, which can then lead into a nice helix before traversing the boulevard itself. A little flourish at the end brings us back to the station. For the Q-line building, I went with something different than the canvas roofs we've already been using all over the place. Instead, I'm going to use a steel lattice frame, which will not protect against any wind or rain, but it will look nice. During construction, I had to delete some wall pieces, and despite my cursor being on the scenery item, it deleted the path behind it, drowning a bunch of guests. Even when I'm not trying, I end up killing guests. It's like I'm cursed, or blessed, depending on your point of view. And this is the final coaster. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and it's the perfect ride around the park. Now it's time to finish the outer arms. The middle one has dolphin fountains, and there are 2 other variations of that circular fountain, so this arm will get the abstract one and the other one will get the elephants. Instead of a boat hire with several boats, this arm will get one massive boat in the form of a pirate ship. I wanted to build one on the other side of the square as well, but we only have 2 tiles of construction rights, so that won't fit, and instead I put some fountains there. After having done the same to the other arm and having built some newly unlocked balloon stalls, I desired an observation tower so that the guests could get a good view from above, and I found the perfect spot for it. Directly below the entrance of the middle arm. This makes it perfectly centered and it looks cool coming up from below through the pier. The squares at the ends of the arms still feel a bit empty, so I'm going to add a little tunnel on the ocean side. While I was fiddling with this to make it work, I noticed something odd. If you build the path after you have already built walls on the same tile, there will not be any supports, which is really ugly here. However, if you remove the walls, the supports will appear and they don't disappear again if you rebuild the exact same walls. Once again, I'm using the pointy and canvas roofs here, which make for a nice combination. On the other 2 arms, I'm going to build the same tunnel but with different colors. The one on the right is periwinkle and pastel pink, the middle one is lime green and bright yellow, and the leftmost one is icy blue and coral pink. Once these were finished, I noticed something terrible. The left arm is 1 tile shorter than the other 2. There are 3 path tiles before it goes down on the middle and right arms, but only 2 tiles on the left arm. This is unacceptable. I will have to destroy and rebuild the left arm to make it fit. And we have less than 2 months to the deadline, so let's hurry. After finally having gotten all the guests off with no entry signs, the rebuilding can start. I built these balloon stalls around the track of the junior coaster as they don't fit under it, so the junior coaster will have to be changed as well. Building as fast as I can, I managed to finish rebuilding the left arm a few days into October, which leaves enough time for the guests to repopulate it. However, as I was aligning my screen for the final shot of the video where we beat the scenario, I noticed something was off. The curse of isometric view has struck again and caused me to place the fountains and their fences above the path instead of in the holes. Luckily I noticed in time and was able to fix it before the end of October. When the end does come, we beat Bumbly Beach with 1500 guests, all walking around on a massive pier. I'm very happy with how this turned out, and this is definitely the best pier I have ever built in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2. This park is also a lot more pleasant for this neighborhood next to it than the hyper-dense Bumbly Beach I built a few months ago. To see the previous episode of Marcel Plays RCT, where I beat Evergreen Gardens with over 10,000 guests, click right here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.